over Loudoun County tested positive for hookworm. The sea's no longer thought alive in this country. What does it say about the federal government's commitment to clean water, healthy communities that our people in this country are still suffering from?
I think what it says about the federal government is that there are some people that have been left behind. And when we heard about Flint and what happened in Flint, we often said that part of Flint's problem was flawed infrastructure. There are large parts of the United States that has no infrastructure at all. And for me, having grown up in that area, I thought that was normal until I went to other parts of the country and saw that it wasn't. And it's even more astounding when the UN Special Rapporteur on Extreme Poverty, who I invited to come to visit Lowndes County, saw that and said that what he saw there was uncommon in the first world.
Well, it just is unreal, to be honest with you, and I think we've learned a lot, and we hopefully will address it in the future, both in the FDA and EPA and all the other agencies that should have been looking for that. Next question from Ms. Taylor. In your testimony, you talk about the automation has displaced workers. Cities like Detroit experience unemployment and declining rate base. Because of that, residents are unable to pay their bills, including water, and are faced with water shutoffs and additional consequences. You noted in your testimony. In your opinion, do shutoffs help address the issue of affordability, or do they contribute to more poverty? You also discussed your testimony to the idea of addressing affordability based on the customer's ability to pay. Why is that a preferred approach to shutoffs?
Shutoffs highlight poverty. Shutoffs mean that whoever is in charge of making certain that citizens are safe are asleep at the wheel. Shutoffs don't have to occur if, in fact, there is a priority set that establishes water and access to water and clean sanitation as a human right. If we start with that as a priority, then what we do as mothers and fathers, like we would do in our homes, we set policies based on what the priorities are. So if you have shutoffs like I have in my city, thousands and thousands. I remember the first shutoff case. A young woman had 2 jobs, and she lost them both. She has 4 little girls, and they were taken out of the house and put into 3 foster care homes. The foster care people pay $465 per child. The water bill was only $1,100. The children stayed in foster care for 18 months. That becomes an issue. So what shutoffs do is that they highlight the problem, and they most certainly contribute to ongoing poverty.
I'm sorry, Mr. Graves was my prior chair, and so I was welcoming him back to the committee. Thank you very much for your testimony. The question for Ms. Heaps, you mentioned you chaired a work group of National Environmental Justice Advisory Council and wrote a report on EPA's role in addressing urgent water infrastructure needs of Environmental Justice Committee. Would you please give a copy of that report to this committee? We have not seen that.
Yes, it's being delivered to Administrator Wheeler this week. As soon as I have the go from EPA, I'd be happy to deliver it to you.
Thank you. You have just heard examples of what is happening in Michigan and Alabama, how low-income communities or individuals may not be able to afford clean drinking water and wastewater services. In your opinion, what can we do to ensure every American and every community across the country has access to these utilities?
I think there's 3 things. A shift in how we view water, the actual funding issue, federal funding, increasing federal funding, and guaranteeing community participation in developing solutions. Congress can take a huge role in leading a fundamental shift of how we as Americans view water, from viewing it as a commodity to viewing it as a human right. Our Declaration of Independence views life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness as an inalienable right, but there's no life without water. We need to recognize this and find ways that everyone living in America can have access to water for life and sanitation for life. Second, we need more funding, and I can think about at least 5 different types of funding. The clean water and drinking water SRFs to support infrastructure at the utility level. Programs like WIFIA, which provides supplemental funding for significant projects. That's been a huge game changer, especially in San Diego. They just got a $16 million WIFIA grant for Pure Water San Diego project, which is indirect potable reuse, which is addressing not only San Diego's drinking water issue, but their sewage issue as well. We need money for water affordability programs to support utilities adopting customer assistance programs. We need block grants that go straight to the customers. Clean Water SRF is great, but it trickles down from the federal government to the states, to the utilities, and then the utilities might get it to the customers. We need something directly to the customers. And then also, I think we also need big funding grants for our most critical issues, like dealing with these rural sewage issues.
Thank you very much. I think I better go on to my next question for Mr. Westerman.